A new flavor for your ear. Epic Spotlight. Putting the spotlight on positive goings on the real people that have chosen a real path. The who's, the whys, and the hows are being shared and given to you.
And we're back, and we got another one. But before we get going, we've got to take care of some housekeeping notes. This episode today is sponsored by Epic Mortgage. Whether you're buying, refinancing, or investing, call Epic today. That's 708-905-5300. That's 708-905-5300. It's your dreams, your goals. Let's plan together. Now on with the show. Today we have Frank Akridge Jr., a financial CFP. He's the owner of Financial Pathfinder, and he is an investment advisor representative with Optavise. Frank specializes in supporting business owners and executives in transforming their largest expenses into valuable assets, offering advanced strategies for wealth management, retirement planning, and financial growth. With over 2 decades of experience, Frank has proven a track record of helping clients achieve their financial goals through innovative and personalized solutions. Frank holds a master's degree in Christian education and conflict management from Wheaton College and has extensive experience working with high net worth clients. Based in Forney, Texas, Frank is committed to educating and guiding professionals towards a more abundant and rewarding retirement. Additionally, he enjoys mentoring and supporting his community, making a significant impact both professionally and personally. Welcome, Frank.
Hey, thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hey, thanks for coming on. Can you talk about your story? I mean, I thought, we shared some conversations prior to this, and I just love the audience to hear your story as far as your journey into financial advising.
Probably, most of us in the financial industry probably didn't start out going there because it's not real attractive. And I didn't. I mean, I started out actually in ministry with a couple of organizations right out of college, and then went back to seminary and did that. And my dad, I had grown up in Dallas, Texas, and my dad was a businessman. He owned full service stations way back in the day. He was a World War II vet. And so I grew up in business, not understanding, it was just, I was hanging out with my dad. It wasn't like, okay, you're being mentored. But I always remembered him telling me, he over and over and over would preach, whether I was sweeping the driveway of the gas station or filling up cars or changing oil or whatever it was. He always said the same thing. He said, don't you ever go work for somebody else. Well, you grow up and you got to get a job and you got to pay bills and you get married, you got kids, you got to pay bills. And eventually it caught on, and the ministry piece turned into a family counseling practice. And that's when the bug got me, because now I own my own business. And then I went into consulting from there. My problem is I don't really have the personality to be a counselor and a therapist. I kind of want to get it done. And then my wife's dad had been with the old Equitable Life Insurance Company for 40 years. And I was traveling all over the country. I hate traveling without Jeannie and the kids. And so he called one day and said, hey, I'm getting ready to sell my practice. I'm going to retire. Are you interested? And that began the conversation. And that was 24 years ago. So, went independent, stayed independent. I've done a couple of stints as a, president of a company and a managing partner of another one and those kinds of things. And, hired advisors, and I've done all that. And for me, being a solo advisor, independent, helping clients, like you said, achieve where they want to be and get better sleep. That's what I like.
That's awesome. Well, now, what are some of the common challenges that you're seeing some of your clients face right now?
Oh, right now it's easy. Inflation since 2020 has robbed $1,000 a month out of your pocket. I don't care who you are. And a lot of folks think, well, if you're a 7-figure earner or whatever, you're a millionaire. I got news for you. It's just it's a percentage game. And so it doesn't make any difference whether you're starting out and you're in your 20s and you both got kind of, $50,000 a year jobs, and all of a sudden you got 12 grand out of your pocket that you can't find it anymore. Inflation is the biggest thing. The other thing is taxes. We know taxes are coming. They've already started talking about it in Washington. They've already started talking about jacking up the cap gains tax. When you're trillions and trillions and trillions in debt, it doesn't make any difference who's in the White House. It makes no difference at all. They got to go find that money somewhere. So Taxes and inflation right now are the two, because when you retire, think about this. You have 401k IRAs, you got all these pensions and stuff. You go to retire. Well, if your personal income tax went from, what you thought it was going to be lower when you retired, and all of a sudden they jack it up to 35%, 40%, man, we just took 35-40% chunk out of your 401k.
Yeah, and that's actually, a conversation that we even have with our clients. We talk about the financial buckets, and we talk about, obviously we all have the same financial buckets, whether it's retirement, personal savings, inheritance, Social Security, and pension. And so many, 40s and 50-year-olds, they don't have that pension anymore. And Social Security being somewhere between $1,500 to $2,000 a month, it's not enough. And then if you're talking about inflation and taxes, that could be scary.
Oh, yeah. Well, and then too, Dante, you've got companies that have been around forever that are flat going out of business. They're going Chapter 11. That means they can't pay the pension anymore.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even consider that. That's tough. So obviously, with the challenges that we're facing, what are some things or strategies that you're starting to try to implement with your clients? How do we protect them?
Yeah, great question. Again, you kind of have to go back to my dad teaching me trying not to be an employee. And my dad always had another gig. He always had 1 or 2, 3 different gigs going besides owning, he owned 2 or 3 different service stations, et cetera. And when you do the research, as I began my career, you find out that almost all of your real quote unquote financially successful folks have a minimum of 3 income streams. And I've written an article, I think I sent it to you, but I've written an article that said probably 90% of financial advisors talk to you as a client about what to do with your pie, your financial pie. Let's rearrange it. Let's go more risk over here or less risk over here. And what they assume, their assumption to me is flawed, because their assumption is that's your pie. Well, my dad and everybody, all the millionaires that I work with, their assumption is if that pie isn't working, go get some more pie. If that ain't, go get some more pie. So the difference is multiple income streams. So my first strategy, literally with anybody, I don't care who they are, is how many different kinds of income do you have? Not, example, if you and your wife are married and you're both employees, COVID blew you out of the water because you have one income, you have 2 incomes, but you have one type of income. And if you've ever read Robert Kiyosaki's book, Cash Flow Quadrant, there's 4 different types of income. And you want to have at least 2 of the 4, if not 3 of the 4 at any given time, so that when COVID or whatever it is that happens comes up, you've got a backup income stream. So that's the first strategy, literally number 1 out of the chute. Number 2 is you got to look at, down the road, you got to look at whether you're going to get serious about where you want to be 15, 20 years from now or not. If you're serious about it and you're teachable, for me, you've got to be teachable, because I'm an educator. So I want you to understand everything we do. If you're not teachable, I'm probably going to refer you. It's a mute conversation. But if you're teachable, then we're going to have the multiple income conversation. Then we're going to have the how serious are you about your goals, and how clear that a real good friend of mine, advisor in a different arena, has a saying I love. He said, with clarity comes urgency. And if you don't remember anything else from this podcast, remember that. If with clarity comes urgency, and you can apply that in my world, the clearer you are about your goals, your financial work, picture, whatever you want to call it, the clearer that is, number 1, it becomes more urgent. Number 2, your strategies then fall into place. We know what strategies will work with you that won't work with your brother, et cetera. So then the strategies are kind of like the last thing we even get to. We have to talk about multiple income streams, and we have to get really clear on where you're going. And once I know you, and or if it's 2 of you or 3 of you, once I know you're clear and we're clear on it, then that really helps. Then we can start playing strategies.
That's awesome. No, I love everything you said on that, and that hits home. So can you share like a success story with maybe one of your clients that you kind of walked through this?
Yeah, it was really one of my first big clients back in the day in Louisiana. A lady that was one of our side businesses, was a partner in one of our side businesses. Her mom died, and her husband had been a psychiatrist at the VA there in Louisiana, and literally, they hadn't even had the what are we going to do about finances conversation. They were going to go do it. He dropped dead from a heart attack. Well, who knew? The wicked brother-in-law from Texas showed up and said, oh, no, he left everything to me. So good news is we hooked up with an attorney, got an attorney to put a wall up for a while until we could do some discovery. And in the discovery, the secretary from the VA calls my client and says, "Hey, I just found a handwritten will in his desk." Well, good news is he left everything to her except for a little bit that he left to his brother-in-law. Well, she was a nurse who had retired, never used to money. They were low middle income spenders, $125,000 house. She wasn't used to money. He left her a chunk, multiple six figures. And so she's like, the daughter who was our friend was like, "Hey, can you help?" And it was really funny because she would have questions. It just, she wasn't used to it. So she would have questions about, well, okay, if we invest this, how do we do that? We set up a trust. And then all of a sudden she comes and goes, "Well, do you do life insurance also?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we do that too." And so the neat thing is we were able to work with the attorney, set everything up in a trust according to the will, take care of her daughter and her grandson, education-wise, forever. She was a giver by nature. She was able to turn around and pay off her pastor's house, okay, and some other giving things, supplement her income every year. And I don't even think the trust has dropped in value since we started doing that. It just stays or grows every year because it's just different strategies. So it's a really cool story. And she just keeps giving money away.
That's awesome. No, I mean, obviously, that's what we all want to be, being able to give like that. Let me ask you, Frank, I mean, sometimes people retire and they feel like they could do it themselves. They feel like they can, invest on their own accord. What is the value that they truly get, with working with you?
It's a great question. And you get that question all day long in your industry with the realtors that, the people that go, "Oh, I can sell my home or I can buy it. I don't need a realtor and I don't need a mortgage. I'll get the bank to loan me the money." Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Don't hold your breath. The value but it's a good question because not all, you would tell me this, not all realtors, not all mortgage people, not all financial advisors are really good at what they do. So the value question comes with, make sure you find a professional in your industry or my industry or whatever. Go find a professional who has some skin in the game, who has some experience in the game and is working more than one strategy. I used to tell clients all the time, if you walk in for a medical visit, you got a cold or you got something going on, a virus or earache or whatever, and if you walk in the doctor's office and there's already a pre-filled syringe, you need to turn around and leave. I mean, before they even ask you any questions about your symptoms, or if you're allergic to penicillin, if it's already filled, dude, turn around and run. Well, a lot of financial advisors, Dante, are like that. They kind of are one or two horse, two-trick ponies. They do kind of the same, no matter what you tell them. They're going to do this. They're going to do this. So I think the value that a good financial advisor brings is the ability to, like I said, help you think about more pie if you need it. But number two, really help you get clear on where you want to be and help you understand. If you in your world, if you understand what I'm helping you do, you understand that you're teachable. If I'm out playing golf, I'm in Hawaii, whatever it is I'm doing, or I'm in the hospital, I'm sick, you have enough knowledge to be able to make a decision, even though I'm not available. And that's really crucial. But the value comes in having an advisor, I think, who has a bigger picture, who is a good communicator and has, in my case, when I go play golf, I need every club in that bag. I need clubs that other people don't have.
Sure.
Okay. Well, the financial world's the same. There's just example. There's some things we can do with different products if you know what you're doing that a lot of advisors don't even know you can do it.
Sure. Yeah, and that's why we're a mortgage broker. I've always stayed as a broker, so I have access to all the programs,
right?
And I'm just not pigeonholed to just a certain amount. And it's not one size fits all, definitely.
No, and when you and I were having our original conversation, some of the stuff you shared with me, I was like, "Whoa, that's pretty cool! I didn't know you could do that."
Yeah, no, it's fascinating, and it's really the mindset. I mean, I think it starts, obviously, like you said, it starts with listening. Obviously, you as an advisor, me as a mortgage broker, I got to listen to the client as best I can, make sure I understand what their goals are, and then obviously we try to help them and explore options and ways to do it. And sometimes it's not always the traditional route. Sometimes it's non-traditional. Whatever it takes.
Right.
What would you consider as good components of like a good financial plan? Like a retirement portfolio. What does it look like? If I
Yeah,
got this pie, how do I really
right. What do you do
diversify?
with the pie?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think there's not an easy answer. Again, you got to go back to you. It's got to be personalized. No matter what no matter what and there should be more than one strategy always. You ought to have two or three. It's kind of like the income. You ought to have two or three different strategies or four, but it's got to be personalized. Like Jeannie and I's strategy probably looks really different than. Well, I know it looks different than some of the family members in Jeannie's family, their strategy. So it needs to be personalized. Number one. Number two, in doing that, traditionally you're going to look at obviously some investments, but you should be looking at. I think personally. I think you ought to have a life insurance factor in there somewhere, whether that's an annuity or whether it's what we call an overfunded life insurance contract that's designed not just for the death benefit, but it's designed to do some things for you when you retire. Example, untaxable income that you can pull from a life insurance contract in the form of a loan that you can't do with any other. So I think you need some insurance pieces in there because what insurance does, insurance is the dam that holds the water in, if that makes sense. In your
Sure.
financial plan, insurance, it's kind of like insurance on your house, okay? But insurance in the financial world is the dam that holds the water in place, all your investments. And then you need to have some money obviously growing. And then but then you got to sit down and talk about risk. And after we do the multiple income world, my lead question is what keeps you up at night? And as you begin to answer, example, you may be okay with 15%, with a risk portfolio that says, I'd love to make 15%, and I don't mind if we lose 15% on a given year or two. Not me. Believe it or not, as a financial advisor, my personal risk factor is like 5.
Sure.
I'm kind of a 5% guy. Either way, I'm like, give me my 5. I'm getting, and that doesn't sound like a really, but our world is we use money managers on the investment side who can do anything. I mean, they can do the high risk stuff, the middle, the blunt, so. I just think you need all of it. In most cases, you need all of it because you don't know, and I don't know what the factors are going to be when you retire. Are you going to retire? Just real life story. A buddy of mine, one of my clients in Atlanta, retired, but as he was retiring, his spouse got Alzheimer's. Bad. Okay, and he ends up having to put her in a diminished capacity, hospital setting. You and I both know, babe, that ain't cheap. Okay. But you don't necessarily factor that into your retirement plan. You don't go, okay, I'm going to need an extra $5,000 a month minimum that's going to go up about 20% every year. And how long, one of my sisters, literally married to a really successful doctor in Colorado, literally same thing. He retired, they were getting ready to take off and go. Boom, Alzheimer's hit my sister, and he did what he could do for a year, but now she's in a diminished capacity deal, and baby, that ain't cheap. That's where he is. It's about $10,000 a month.
Oh yeah, no, in 2016, my dad got a double stroke, and so we try to keep it in house, and just take care of him, but it just got to be too much. So I definitely understand what you're saying, and yeah, having the facility that he's in is not cheap. It is not cheap. So yeah, no, it's one of those things, and I love how you're answering these because it's really not one size fits all. It really, we have to look at the personal, individual situation and see what's best for you. Yeah, and then it's funny, obviously I said Wheaton College in your bio, so I mean you have some Illinois in you. So you were up here for a little bit, and then obviously went back to Texas.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, I call it the winter that got Jane Byrne. Not fired, but it kept her from getting reelected. She mishandled the snow that winter, and I didn't know. Man, I'm driving around Chicago in a little Honda Civic trying to stay on the road. I don't even know how to do that.
Yeah, it's a different animal, definitely up here. But now you're in well, be careful down there. Obviously, the hurricanes and stuff like that. So that's a different animal in itself. So I guess to wrap this up, I wanted to just I read a book, The Power of Zero. And that's, when you were talking about the life insurance and you're talking about, just kind of tax-free bubble, can you shed some light on just, tax-free opportunities and why you like them so much?
There really are, and it kind of, again, it's all individualized. It should be personalized, but there's a range of of strategies you can use, and most of the time, not always, most of the time, it's what we call advanced life insurance cases. You know, I would tell you that most advisors understand life insurance to be a crop duster, but the real high-end advisors understand life insurance to be an F-16. There's things you can do with it. So, example, for a lot of more high net worth folks, you can take a life insurance contract, overfund it intentionally, legally, get it done, and then when you decide to pull an income stream, you can pull a loan against that life insurance contract, and it's income tax free. Well, you just picked up 35% compared to your 401k. Okay. Sure. And it doesn't make any difference what the taxes do in your retirement. You're still getting that income. If on the cap gain side, we have a product called the Deferred Sales Trust that comes out of a group in San Diego, a group of attorneys in San Diego that created that about 25 years ago. Man, it's wonderful. And what it does, when you have the sale of a highly appreciated asset, in your case, maybe a real high-end home that's paid off, or you've got a $700,000 or $800,000 or more profit coming. Well, traditionally, what happens is that people they figure they just pay the cap gains. Well, that can be a 40% hit. Okay. Well, the Deferred Sales Trust allows you to roll that asset into an LLC, obviously before the sale.
Sure.
Okay. Roll it into an LLC or a trust or whatever you want to do. And then you put it in that Deferred Sales Trust. Okay. And then when the sale happens, it defers the cap gains, not indefinitely, but almost indefinitely, because you can renew it every 8 or 9 years. And then as you pull money out of the trust, that's when you're going to pay either cap gains or income tax, depending on and you can invest in anything you want to the trust. You can buy more real estate. You can, if you're an art person, buy more art. You can just keep it and invest it in traditional investments, life insurance, you name it. And as you pull money out of the trust, that's when you pay the cap gains. The beauty of it is that while it's in the trust, it's hopefully making money. And if it's making money, eventually the growth in the trust will compensate for what you're going to pay in cap gains on that original amount. That makes sense. Yeah. So there's some pretty cool strategies out there. The goal is for us. Obviously, I don't mind paying taxes, when they're due. I don't have anything against that. The goal is not to pay more than I need to.
Sure.
So.
That's awesome. Frank, it's been great to talk to you today. Definitely shedding some light. How does a client that's listening here get in contact with you?
Oh, okay. The easiest way is, I can shoot them my email, which is kind of a long email, so I'm not trying to say it because I can't spell it. But that my office phone number is 404-738-9234, I think. I'm pretty sure it is. You're asking me, it's kind of like asking your address when you're a kid. And you're right. Like, I don't know, we live down there. Anyway, but it's the easiest way. The easiest email they could use is Frank, and then the letter F is in Frank, and the letter P is in Paul.com. Frank at frankfp.com is my business email address. I'll even give you my cell phone number. My cell phone number is 318-792-8824. And they can call me on my cell phone, my business phone, the Frank at frankfp.com. Come find me. Awesome. And then we have a website too. It's financialpathfinder.net.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you for that great information today. I want you to have an epic day.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Take care.
The who's, the whys, and the hows are being shared and given to you. Epic Spotlight, baby. A new flavor.